So thanks for coming. Thanks for coming all the way down here, taking time out of your day, have some lunch. I wanted to take about 20, 30 minutes to walk you guys through what Benefitfocus is. You know, what we're all about, how we grew up, what products we have, what platform we have, what our clients are like, what some of them are, and then kind of also walk you through what life is like at Benefitfocus. So before I go through that, well, I guess you don't need any more background on me. But from inside of our company, I've been there for 11 years. So I've done everything from web development to running web developers, being a database administrator, database engineer. I helped us move out of data centers from one in Atlanta to two in North Carolina. Done IT procurement, asset management, all that kind of stuff. So make sure my clicker works. So what is Benefitfocus? So in a nutshell, we provide insurance carriers, employers, consumers, government entities the ability to, shop for insurance, manage your insurance, exchange data with other partners, and we do it all cloud-based. So it's all software as a service, not installed in your own data centers. Really takes a lot of the pain out of the entire process. We got about 650 associates. I think that's fair. There might be a few more. We're starting an office in San Francisco. We took a guy from our office and moved him out to California, and he's going to start the office out there. That should probably come online later next year. Well, later at the end of this year, beginning of next year. He's already got space. He's just trying to fill it out and go from there. We have our office here in Greenville. We're actually in our third space. We moved up here in 2003. And then we have some associates in Hyderabad also doing some work for us. So I wanted to take a little bit of time and go through history. It's cut off a little bit. So in 2000, we were founded in June of 2004. And we were founded, two of our three founders, they actually worked for third-party pension administration company. And they decided, well, if we can do pension administration online, you can sign up for your benefits online. That way, why not do it for medical, dental, vision, life, whatever else we could do. So they started the company, and I started about 2 or 3 months later. And after that, and it's a little cut off there, we had 2 employers, and those 2 employers, we had 70 consumers. So 70 users on the entire system. And as I walk through the history, if you guys want to look, I really like all the employer and consumer numbers that are there. I mean, it's really gone way up in the past few years. I'll get out of y'all's way on the left, and then you can see it. So in 2001, we signed up our first insurance carrier, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, and we launched our enrollment product. And then after that, in 2002, we actually signed up Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, and they kind of took us to a different level. They had different plans to offer for benefits. They had different packaging. They had different rates. They actually did electronic data interchange. So it really made us advance the products that we had. 2003, we actually did our third application, which was e-exchange, and you can think of that effectively as enrollment without a web front end. So it's generally for larger clients that they might have their own HR system already. They can get all the enrollments and everything in, but they don't have a way to translate it and send it out to their carriers. 2004 is when we started our electronic billing product, and that was about the first time where we could really go through and you could actually complete the entire loop. You could have people sign up for their elections, and then you could turn around and send them a bill and keep going. 2005, we signed up Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. I won't go through all the rest of them, but in 2006, we changed locations in Charleston, and we moved to the headquarters building that we're in now, and one of the products we came out with at that point was sales automation. So, not going out and signing up smaller groups. So insurance brokers going out, sitting down with smaller groups, doing data capture for demographics, signing up for, health statements, signing up for all the insurance, and really bringing those groups in. 2008, we started a media company. So inside of our office down in Charleston, there's actually a full-blown HD TV studio. and we started offering video as a service. So HR administrators and other people that use our platform, they can actually go in, they can make videos to, get out a message about open enrollment. How do I sign up for my benefits? How do I pay my bill? What's the difference between a PPO and an HMO and whatever else you have? 2009 and then on into 2010 and 11. 2009 was one of the first years we actually got outside of the Blues brand. We signed up Aetna as a client and then MetLife in 2010. So what does the platform actually do for you? Well, there's 4 main categories: shop, enroll, manage, and exchange. The shopping it's across the spectrum. So if you're a consumer, there's ways to go in if you don't have insurance from your own company. You can go in, you can sign up for insurance all by yourself. If you belong to a company that offers insurance, you go in and they have different 3 or 4 medical plans, 4 or 5 dental plans, disability, life insurance, different things like that. And then on the managing side, it depends on how the system is laid out for everyone. Is it opened up to where you can do self-service? Is it just a tool for your HR administrator to go in and manage the benefits for you? And then the big one to me is the exchange side. The ability for that HR administrator not to have to take all your forms and fold them all up and shove them in an envelope and send them out to somebody else. You just send it out to whatever carriers need to go. And it doesn't matter, if you're doing Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Medical and you're doing Delta Dental and you're doing VSP Vision. If it's all inside of our place, it all goes out separately to everyone else. So some numbers as of yesterday. 14 million consumers on the application, 308,000 employers. You can read the rest of the ones there, but to me it's immense from what it was when we started. We had 2 employers and now you have 310,000 of them. We used to worry about, well, what are we going to do with 70 people on the system or 400 people on the system? Well, now I got to worry about 14 million. What kind of machines does that really take to do 14 million that come in? There's definitely been a lot of challenges for us to overcome in the past 11 years about how to do all that. All the benefits that we can put in. Our tagline is all your benefits in one place. And when we say that, we really mean it. It's not just, well, we'll take your medical from your major medical and maybe we'll do your dental and your life. There actually used to be pet insurance on here at one point in time. There's strange things like pension and parking and hospital cash, whatever that is. Anything that people can think of, we generally have a place for, and you're generally going to have somebody that wants it. Whether it's a payroll provider or back into a benefits system, it can all be captured in our platform. So the different size companies we have on the platform, it started out and it was basically more large groups. If you sign up the insurance carrier, they say, hey, look, I'll give you so much money per month if you go get a client and you make my life easier and I don't have to take paper. I don't have to look and figure out, well, is it John Brown or Jim Brown? And, what's his social and stuff like that. So we started out with a lot of large employers, but as the sales automation product came in, we enabled the brokers to go out to that, that smaller company and sit down with them and figure out all their data, do their quotes, and then bring them on. So that number's really started to come up. And then, of course, there's everything in between with all the medium ones. So the market side, basically we have three kind of market categories. You have the big health carriers, and we really, our entire platform, you give them the ability to go all the way through end to end. So if you come in our consumer side of the application, I can route you over to the billing side and you can get your bill paid. You can sign up for credit card payment. You can do recurring credit card. We can make it to where you go in and you sign up and I'll send you an email when I get your bill and I'll send you an email when I pay your bill. So it's really kind of seamless to the entire user how to flow around those different products. On the employer side, the platform that we put together, it's really a unique package to go out to the employer group. You give them a communications portal, you give them video, you give them content that they can play with on their own, and then you can link into enrollment and into billing, and into the e-exchange side if that's what you want to do. And then we've just started getting more into the government side with state exchanges and multiple carrier marketplaces. I have a slide that I can show you guys about that one too. So this is a slide that I really like. It just shows all the carriers that we've gone through to try to get over the course of time. And after showing up 11 years ago and you don't have any, you start with the one in the top corner and then you keep going. Having MetLife, one of the biggest insurance companies in the world for life insurance, and Aetna on there along with all the other Blue Crosses, I think it's kind of neat. So to give you an idea of kind of the employers that we have too, it just runs the spectrum between clothing stores and tire stores and transportation and banks and smaller health carriers, public schools, hospitals. I mean, any place that we can get into that we can help people reduce their administrative overhead and cost. You can get messages out more clearly, you can get the paper applications in more clearly. Just to me, it's very neat to look at them. So what makes our platform unique? All your benefits in one spot. I went through all the benefit types. The ability to store them in one place and send them all out. The 3 different markets that we can go after. It's not just a group platform that we've kind of changed around to be made for an individual. On the consumer side, there's actually nice focused applications that get you to those different markets. Transactions and content. So not only do you come in, I want to sign up for insurance, or I had a baby, or I got married, got divorced, whatever, had a life event. You can do those in there too, but we have some contracts where we have insurance carriers where we have the employer groups, and they come into our studio and they make a video, and then we take it out there, post it on the site. We have sticky notes that they can put on the site. Whatever you can do to think about to get that messaging out to your, either your people, the market, whatever you have. Access to applications. I'll walk you through a little bit of the API that we have. We build an API that goes down into the different sections of our applications, and we can expose that internally, but we've also started to expose that externally for some of the third-party applications that we have. Integrated online enrollment and billing. The insurance carriers see real value, and so does the employer group, for I can sign up on your platform, I can put my people in there, but then I can also close the loop and I can send you your bill either for your premiums or for your claims that you pay if you're an administrative services only type group. If you go into billing and you want to make a change inside of enrollment, great. Single sign on over into enrollment, make your change, we'll send a message back, it'll update your bill, it'll be adjusted, and your carrier will get a copy of your bill. So it's really a complete life cycle on that one. Continuous investment and innovation. So we've been alive for 11 years. You can imagine if we have developers in the room, you don't do everything right the very first time. Also, with the explosion of consumers and groups that we have, I can remember when we started the billing product and we did South Carolina, we were loading 2,500, 3,500 groups and invoices, overnight. And we signed up Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan about 1.5 years ago, and now we're loading about 250,000 to 400,000 invoices in a span of 1 to 2 hours inside of the system. So we've really had to go through and figure out, how do you play with the underlying hardware? How do you play with Oracle? How do you deal with the storage underneath in order to get everything to really run the right way? And then the growing audience and network. If we're reaching the groups, the HR administrators, the consumers, a lot of the videos that we have are out on a website called ICU.com, where it kind of follows a little bit of the YouTube mentality. There's channels people can post, there's pages that people can make. So it's a good way to get content and things through there also. All right, so let's take a look at what's there. So this is employee self-service for enrollment. So it's just a screen capture of what that enrollment platform would look like, but easy to use, larger buttons, textual representations. We needed to make the self-service module kind of the one thought per screen idea so everybody could go through and do it as easily as they can. Back in the beginning, we had Piggly Wiggly as a client, and we had our customer service people and our system engineers, and we actually put everything on kiosks. And they would take the kiosk out, drop it in the Piggly Wiggly, and we would have people come by and sign up for all their insurance. So it was a wonderful way, to make it real graphical so people could figure out what was going on. Mobile employee self-service. So one of the things that we really try to go through is we try to design with mobility in mind when we go through and do our work. And we don't want it to be like, oh, it's going to work on the iPad or the iPod or the iPhone. I mean, it just needs to work anywhere. We want that broker to be able to take an iPad and go out to a client and sign them up for insurance, do all their data capture and bring everything in. And that's, to me, that's much more powerful than saying, hey, you go take your laptop and go sit down at that, that company. Can I even plug in? Will the security guy even let me get my internet jack in my computer? If you can just sit there with 3G and go do whatever you want all day long, it's a wonderful thing to have. HR and broker administration. So this is kind of what I keep going back to with the sales automation. It's workflow tools that are designed to help that broker onboard people quicker. How do I get all their information in? How do I get that quote back quicker? How do I make sure I'm moving them through the process? How do I track them? There's reporting tools that are all the way through there. It helps the carrier user also to go back and look and see, was the insurance declined? If so, why? Were there rules that were violated? Do I need to change things on the front end? So that's a look at that one. This is billing. You can see at the top, view invoices, search, payment history, all those kind of things. We try to give enough tools and enough access to the system so that anybody inside of that company that we're giving the bill to can go do. So we can separate the access in between. Is it the HR administrator? Maybe they only need to look at the roster of who's on the bill. Is it the accounts payable and the accounts receivable person? Well, if so, then they only need to look at the please pay page up at the front. So, but either way, we try to make it wonderfully useful for them to go through. And then the consumer shopping. So this is, I don't have insurance on my own, I can't get it. Maybe you're at a medical practice or a dental practice where they don't offer it. Well, you come over here, you can pick your coverage date, pick whatever plan you want. It'll walk you through an easy-to-use questionnaire to figure things out. We integrate with underwriting systems so that we can take all this information, send it over on a web service, have that underwriting system look at it and say, oh, well, I can, I'm only looking at like 6 or 8 things. I can approve you automatically. And then we flow everything over to billing from there. This is multiple carrier marketplaces. We had the Maryland Healthcare Exchange that had come over to us, and they said, hey, we want to be able to offer out to our small groups a way for them to go through and look at different health plans and figure out where there's an insurance agent for what they can go do. So we built this on our platform using all the services that are underneath, and you can go and look at all these different plans that are in the area that you're in. And when you're done and you select one, you can pick a broker, and then we use APIs out of Google and things like that, and we find where you are, where the broker is, give you directions, give you printouts and all that kind of things. And then, so the thought pattern is after that, if you have the carriers that are on the consumer side after this, then we can flow you over and you can sign up for your insurance and go forward from there. So a little bit about what's kind of behind the scenes. Marketplace and exchanges are kind of that's the top level side of the applications that we have. And as we grew up, all these different applications, they all grew up on their own, but the more that you go through, the sales cycle and getting more carriers on, you see the need to bring everything back together in that one big platform. So at the core of it, you have, the shopping and the management and the billing and the exchange of data, and the one-to-many idea of how many carriers do I need to go out to versus where is all my data reside. What we're starting to get into on the left-hand side is more software development kits. So now that we have all this data, there's developers at the insurance carriers, or maybe at the employer group. Maybe they want to go into the database and they want to pull out all this paid time off information, and feed it back into their HR system. So we have APIs that will allow you to go do that. And we're trying to make sure that we have the developer toolkit and the community that surrounds all of that to allow people to go in and get their data And then the right-hand side, we'll go through this in a little while. The applications that have already been written on top. So voluntary benefits. Allstate is one. Aflac is one that's written apps for us. Unum. There's a few others that kind of plug into what we already have. There's some finance ones that'll do kind of analytics on, claims data or premium data, those kind of things. And then at the bottom, the operating system that we have in there. ESB is our connected systems group. That's the fabric that's kind of between everything. How do we move messages around? How do we move web service calls from one side to the other? The Max family is more of our standards of how do we get data in and how do we get data out. You got the search and then analytics. If you're going to get all this data in there and you're going to take the time and use the product and make it part of your life, how are you going to get all the most benefit out of it that you possibly can? So what does it look like under there? Well, sometimes you might think it's a mess when you get in there to really look at it all, but it's been over 8 to 9 years of investment of what's been put in, and video content, self-service. There's decision support tools. If you go in as a consumer, there's places inside where you can say, little slider boxes. Do I want more deductible? Do I want less coverage? Do I want better prescriptions? Do I want more of whatever else? So we kind of help guide the consumer or guide the the person at the group. What coverage do I want to choose? What plan do I want to choose? What's most important? On the system administration side, we try to build in a lot of rules-based work. So there might be new hire rules for signing up for insurance. There might be waiting periods that are there. There might be any other number of conditions. User management side. There's different needs, like on the billing side of the applications. There's a need for a carrier user to be able to see all of their entire groups. There's a need for a group to be able to see all of their divisions. There's a need for a broker to help their groups out and see multiple number of groups. So there's millions of ways to slice everything apart. And then this is just another look at how it kind of stacks up also. We have this public and private API layer in the middle, and I believe the next slide has more of the APIs in it. But this is to allow us to actually get access at all the different pieces of our application. So if you're a member in enrollment, then I ought to be able to go over to billing and use who you are and pull your part of your bill out. And then below that, the application business logic is all separated from that API. So how do we make sure that we keep things all separated so it's easier for us to update? I mean, if you have these 4 to 6 different layers of your application, you really need to make sure that you can, keep them separated for ease of deployment. So here's a few of the APIs that are there. I won't go through all of them, but get member list, get member and benefits, get plans, get sponsor, get plan rates. What we tried to do is expose enough of these things to where we can enable third-party developers and we can enable carriers to really be able to make any UI that they want to on the outside. So they're not restricted by, this is how UI looks for us for enrollment. You can do it however you want, or you can embed it inside of applications that you already have. This is a handful of the third-party apps that we have that are on the application itself. Allstate is one of the bigger ones on the voluntary benefits side. Aflac, Unum, PayChoice, InfoArmor, a bunch of other ones. The Allstate Benefits app, it's not like you would think of an application like on the iPhone or the iPad in a traditional sense. It is buried right inside of the application. So if you go in and you sign up for medical and you sign up for dental, you get down to the bottom and guess what? Here's my voluntary benefits. I think this one's critical illness. So what happens is we actually send you over to the Allstate site, or we call over there with web services, you sign yourself up, and then we bring those benefits back in, and they're actually housed inside of our database. So we don't want to make it to just where you can sign up and then, well, your enrollment's over here and everything else is over here. We keep them all together in one spot. The Giveback app. This one's really kind of neat. It's an application to where you can set up your own trust, I think, or you can set up your own I guess that's the right word, right? Set up your own trust. And you can say, hey, look, I want part of my paycheck to go over to this trust. And then your company can actually help you, and they can funnel money over there too. So it's just another way where it might not seem like a benefit at first, but it's something that can be offered to your associate at the company as part of their total package of what you're giving them. But the way they did this one too was it's built on the platform that we have using the UI tools and the application builder that we have, and it reaches in and uses the APIs, uses the internal ones because of where it runs. But by exposing all those things out, we actually could have a third party sit down and build an application for us. So kind of finally, what makes us unique? So life as a benefit-focused engineer. To me, it's something that I've tried to help facilitate ever since I got there, since I was here in the beginning. Focus time. One of these is about 8 hours every single month. We let all the engineers be as creative as they want to be. Go in a room, lock the door, don't let your boss in, don't let any production support noise in your head. We've had things come out of it, like a guy made an iPhone app for the video website that we have. We had another one where it's probably the same guy. Sat down and he said, I don't like the way we do our caching algorithm inside of Enrollment. I want to change it. So within about 6-8 hours, he sat down, made a new caching algorithm. We use it all across of what we have. Certification program. So even though we're a technology company, we still need to have our product managers, our project managers. They all need to know how business, how the insurance carrier business works. So they can sign up to be a plan administrator, an HR administrator, and they go through that training, and they get all that knowledge, and it helps us make better products as we move along. Training opportunities. If you want to be a Java certified developer, if you want to be a CCIE, a CCNA, if you want to go to Oracle University, those are all things that we take our people to, and we encourage them to go off and get that, and we also pay for it. We have a tuition reimbursement program. If you want to go, even if you're a developer, if you want to go get an MBA, great. We'll help you pay for it. We think it'll make you better. Ride-along program. We didn't have that many salespeople in here, but how many times, if you're a developer, have you always wondered, what did the sales guy do to me, right? What did he sell? So we kind of did the ride-along program, and the whole reason was we wanted to be able to take that developer and give him to the sales guy so they can see what's going on. I mean, sitting in front of that carrier client and trying to do all these different things and not promise the world is a big deal. So we did that. Recognition programs. We recognize everybody that's there. We do, we recognize them for their achievements. We have bonuses and things like that we give them. We have engineering summits. So about 3 times every single year we go through and we have updates from our CTO and CEO. We bring in speakers to tell us about industry practices. We had a security guy one time. We had a storage person one time. This guy worked at Apple. Was a very entertaining speaker. We encourage the patent process inside of our organization. If you want to stay after, Jack Lunn, who's a senior director in our group, can tell you more about that, but that has a nice bonus structure that goes along with it too. And then our office, I think I told a few people when we got here, we're mainly about 90% development. We have one salesperson, we have one project manager. So our office is nice and quiet and cold and dark and lovely for developers. But we also do a lot of things for our associates too. We have a Starbucks machine in the cafe, free. We have fruit on Mondays, vegetables on Wednesdays, all brought in. We have a 25-cent drink machine. We have a 50-cent snack machine. Different things like that. Things that we do differently from our Charleston office. We have a homebrew competition every January. We have a chili competition every November. And we try to keep the Charleston people out of that. One of the other things that we did this year too was a Cio Workgroup. So our CTO, our operating officer, our president, we tried to get, we just wanted to get technology people all together in the same room. and try to explain to them about here's our roadmap for where we're going, and then they would tell us about industry trends, and we try to work together and get everything inside of our application if that's what they wanted. So the interesting part, the Blue Crosses that were there, that was kind of neat, but to see Allstate, Unum, Lockton, and Colonial Life, to see all these guys that do all these voluntary benefits kind of all together, it was really interesting to get that mass of voluntary benefits all together. Because the big blue plans, they don't compete against each other, but the voluntary guys do all the time. Preview event, we just had this one. I think a few of you went to that, at least one, Brett. But this is just a way to, kind of showcase everything that our engineers do. This one was at the Hippodrome in Charleston, huge 6-foot screen. Imagine as a developer your code up on a 6-foot screen. It was pretty neat to see. And then this year, 2011, we decided, hey, we're big enough, we'll have a conference. We'll just throw a conference. So we started that last year. Keynote address by the CEO, different tracks that people can go and take, and it's not a sales demo thing all the time. It's here's what's going on in HR and benefits and membership and billing, and here's the technology behind it. Do you really need the membership system you're on? Do you want another one? That kind of thing. I mentioned before the third-party developer items. We have developers at benefitfocus.com. So this is a place where if people are interested about making a third-party app, they can send over to us and kind of apply, and we can help people walk through that process. And finally, careers. In the Greenville office, we have Java people, we have .NET people, we have Oracle, SQL Server, C#, system engineers, configuration management people, all those kind of things. So as we get bigger, we're going to need all these other kind of people. So, but that's about what I got today. So thanks for letting me speak. If you guys have any questions, we can go through those. I don't know exactly how much time Phil's going to give me, but.
Let's say we've got 5 minutes for good questions. Go ahead.
Sir?
I'm one of those simple salespeople. I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
And maybe Phil can convert me, I don't know. But I'm also a customer.
Mm-hmm.
I saw in your list of carriers 2 that give me services.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if there is a way where if I change my phone number, for example, I enter it just once, and everybody who's a vendor to me knows it. I don't have to fill out 14 forms.
Mm-hmm. We actually have, it depends on the carrier and what they've asked for in the group. I know what we've implemented for Aetna in the past is, I'll get it wrong, change events. So we have this model, and it basically, effectively for what you're asking for. If I'm going to put my phone number in there one time, I want you to then take that, and I want you to send it to Delta Dental. I want you to send it to Blue Cross South Carolina.
Does that work?
It does, but it all depends on what that carrier wants to see in a change file for EDI to go out to them. But that's effectively the idea. Change your address once, change your phone number once, change your 401k elections once. But yeah, that's totally the idea. One place for all that kind of information that disperses all the way out.
Good. Thank you.
Anyone else? In the back?
Greg, you alluded earlier in your presentation about what kind of rack space and bandwidth and that type of thing it takes to handle 14 million potential endpoints.
A lot.
Give us any insight into, how much rack space, how much bandwidth. You got 2 data centers you're running it from, but that's a lot of clients to have down there.
It is. So when I moved us into our 2 different data centers, we probably have about 8 or 10 racks worth of space. We have probably over about 120, 130 terabytes of storage in each side. We're really set up for production on one side, test, QA, joint development on the other side. Bandwidth, I have no idea. But we're pretty well virtualized all the way around. And it's either HP, Cisco, or IBM blades. Just kind of depends. But they're pretty standard servers. They're dual core, dual processor, 16, 32 gigs of RAM, something like that. So it just depends on how much you need to spread around.
Thank you.
Hello.
Have you been able to forecast the impact of the new legislation on your company?
What we've seen from it so far is that we're able to change quicker than the internal IT at the carrier. So if they come over and they say, hey, we don't need waiting periods anymore, or we don't need new hire rules anymore, we're also able to give them reporting a lot easier. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, I mean the impact is we're able to help a lot quicker than the carrier can do on their own. I mean, especially the one with how do I prove that everybody had access to go get insurance? So yes, either one. Sorry.
Is your platform any kind of standard that can be used for these regional health information networks and exchanges?
What we're trying to do with the exchanges is to make, well, yeah, I mean, if enough people ask us to go do it, sure. We have a multiple carrier marketplace now, but it's really just kind of done with Maryland. But with all the different Blue Crosses that we have, it would depend on what other insurance we would, that state would have or want to offer. But with having Aetna and MetLife and Unum and then, like Blue Cross in Massachusetts, we also have Tufts. So between Tufts and Blue Cross in Massachusetts, that's 85 to 89% market share in that state. So I think we could have a platform. It would depend on who's going to buy it, who's going to set them up. Yeah. Do they come buy ours or not? Don't know. I would love for them to. You want me to stop?
How about that's the last one right there?
Okay.
Let Steve go ahead.
Probably not an easy way to ask the question, but your thoughts towards security issues. I'm very uncomfortable with personal data and such out in the cloud and access online and that type of thing. Probably can't talk to too much detail, but what are some of the comforting things that you guys are doing to make consumers feel okay about having their information out in the cloud, so to speak?
Well, I'm not in the Amazon cloud. We're inside of our. I mean, we're not out in like a publicly accessible cloud. What we've done is inside of our own data centers, we've made our own cloud space. So virtualized everything, virtualized the storage. We can provision and go back and forth however we want to. We're SAS 70 Type 1 and 2 compliant at this point. We do enough credit card traffic inside of billing where we have to be PCI compliant, change passwords all the time. And then we have the HIPAA compliance in there too. The other thing, inside of our data centers, we actually have about 3 or 4 layers of firewalls. And where any of your information that is stored that would be, name, address, social security number, credit card number, whatever it is, that's 4 levels removed from wherever you could get in from the front end. So hopefully my data's in there.
Wonderful. A round of applause.